You're listening to NFT 365, the first daily podcast on NFTs with your host, Fanzo.
What's up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of NFT 365. And we're going to change it up a little bit on this one. I know many of you kind of follow my journey. I get to speak on different stages around the world. You know, that's kind of my full-time gig as a keynote speaker. And, got the opportunity to return to an event that was actually my 8th year speaking at this event, Social Media Marketing World, the largest social media marketing event in the world. And there were a couple of thousand people at the event in the San Diego Convention Center. And I gave a talk called, NFT for Businesses. And I pulled together really a bunch of the use cases and examples that we've kind of talked about here on the podcast. And I really focused it towards marketers, social media marketers, small business owners, because that's who was in the crowd. And I think the audio from this presentation, I just think is dialed in, and I think of great value for our amazing listeners. So for a little special treat, here is the audio from that presentation that I gave. Definitely a great event to check out. We're going to have the founder of the event, Michael Stelzner, on the podcast as well. So you guys will be able to get to hear some things directly from him. But I thought before we even get to interviewing him, you'll get a little clip or taste of what I presented to that audience. And definitely check out the event for Social Media Marketing World 2023. I'll include a link here in the show notes. I hope I'll be back there again. And actually, they actually launched another event that's going to be coming in the fall, focused on business and crypto. But I'll make you stay tuned to listen to a little bit more about that with Michael Stelzner. But for now, this is the audio from my presentation, NFT for Businesses at Social Media Marketing World. Cheers.
We had a masterclass all day, and if you've been here with us this whole time, you've heard me already say this, I get to sit right down here and learn from some of the biggest brains in this industry, and I have a book full of notes, and you will have another book full of notes here in just a minute when you hear our next speaker. Few things that you need to know. If we get to a point when we get some Q&A at the end, I know Brian's going to try to maybe get to that. If we have some room for Q&A, there's a microphone right there in this aisle. And there's a microphone right there in this aisle. It's really important that if it's a Q&A time, you go to these mics, because we have all these beautiful people here at home that I'm looking at in the camera. Yo, hi everybody at home. Hope you're doing well. If you don't talk in the mic, those nice people at home can't hear your question. The other thing I need you to do, either during the event or probably after the session, is go to socialmediaexaminer.com/feedback. That's socialmediaexaminer.com/feedback, and give feedback on this session. It's going to help us as we continue to create new content for you guys in future years. And you also have an opportunity to win a free ticket for next year's event as well. So excited to hear our next speaker. I don't know how many years ago that we somehow started crossing each other's paths briefly at events just like this. And I started listening to him and I started following him, and he has a ton of accolades that we'll get to in a moment. Few things I know about him though. Avidly obsessive Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I want to know what his thoughts are on Mitchell Trubisky. We'll talk about that later. The other thing I know about him, I think the thing I admire the most about him as I started following him and watching his content, is he is a rockin' girl dad to 3 awesome daughters, and the passion for his family just comes through everything that he does as well. It's crazy as I have followed and watched his content that he truly has a gift, not just knowing for where attention is now, what things are working now, but he definitely has a gifting for knowing what's coming ahead. Where are things going? And that's why they call him a digital futurist. So today he's going to come and talk to you about NFTs and where they are in NFTs. So are there anybody here that are like, dude, this is brand new to me. Brand new NFT. That's great. That's fantastic. You're in the right spot. And if this is something you already know, you're in the right spot. Because if I've been listening to his podcast, NFT 365, you're learning a new thing every day. So help me welcome to the stage, Mr. Brian Fanzo.
All right. So in this world of NFTs, in this world of digital transformation, I decided about 124 days ago to launch a daily podcast. I know I need to get my head checked. Trust me. The guy calls himself my business partner that convinced me to do that.
But the reason I did it is because this world is changing and evolving. And the idea of what NFTs mean and Web3 mean was so fast. I said I couldn't do a weekly podcast. It would have to be 6 hours. And for those that know me, I like to talk. That would be no problem. But I don't know if you guys would want to listen to me for 6 hours on a podcast. And you might have heard this morning Michael Stelzner talk about NFTs and some of the trends. You might have been in the room earlier as Joe Polizzi talked about this beautiful world of social coins. But I will tell you, something's actually changed since then. And if Drew, my business partner, is watching, I'm not doing an hourly podcast. Not gonna happen. But about 23 minutes ago, Mark Zuckerberg went on Facebook Live and said, I will confirm the rumors that Instagram is moving to NFTs. So those of you that are in the audience right now, you can laugh when everyone else is saying, I still couldn't figure out why marketers are in this game, why marketers are playing NFTs. Now, some of you might be saying, well, Brian, what is an NFT? How do these NFTs work? And you might be looking at that slide right there and thinking that's just, that could be my title slide. But what I'm here to tell you is that's actually the NFT that all of you will leave here with. Woo. So everyone in this room, when you leave, you will actually leave with an NFT in your hands. And now it might be like, well, that's just a title slide, a pretty picture. Shout out to my amazing designer, Kevin, who made that just for this event. But the beauty of this is it's actually going to unlock some things for you, not only at next year's social media marketing world, but also along the way. And I'll kind of lead into that as we go. But I want you guys to go down that beach with me a little bit. And I will say, I don't know if anybody saw their stickers that are sitting on your table there, or on your seat. And if you didn't get one, I can get you one. And you might have saw it says DYODR. Now, in the NFT space, and really with any early adoption space, people like to use complex terminology, in my opinion, for one reason: to make it very difficult for us to understand and for us to believe we have to hire them to teach us. But one of the things that you hear often is DYOR, which is do your own research. Because unlike a lot of the things I've ever talked about, a lot of the things you're going to hear at this event, there's a financial kind of aspect to NFTs. And I'm a big believer in that we have to understand our own risk versus reward. We have to understand our own management. And if you've heard me speak anywhere else, or you kind of heard me online, my mantra has always been, there's a little bit of people that will take notes. There's some people that will build a strategy, but there's very few people that will take action, that will press the damn button, which is the keynote I've been giving for many years. And so I had to add my own little twist, which is DYODR, which is do your own damn research. And the reason that it is this size of a sticker is because it fits right next to your trackpad on your laptop. So that time you buy an NFT and you're not sure where you bought it, and you're starting to get frustrated, you're going to look down at that instead of tweeting me and being very upset. So really, this is my contingency plan. I hope you guys will kind of enjoy that. Now, I'm a pager-wearing millennial, which just means I was born in 1981. I know what a pager was. I know what a pager is. I don't currently wear one. I know there are some that exist in the medical field. But for me, the idea of a pager, when I had that in high school at 16 years old, after I got suspended for 3 days because at the time, drug dealers had mobile devices in their pockets. Yeah, times have changed a little bit. What gets overwhelming as a digital futurist is that most that talk about this type of topic are talking about bleeding edge futurist things that can get very overwhelming. And for many of us, we are barely holding on to understanding organic growth that changes every day on Instagram. Or how do we make people open our emails when no one in the history of the world said, please give me more emails? And I can understand that, and I can understand that pain point, but what I want you to also think about is the change we've gone through. There was a time and day that said I would never accept payments of any kind unless I could touch the physical money. Don't tell me you're going to send me some PayPal link for me to send you money. That sounds ridiculous. Now the idea of pulling physical money, which Joe asked me when I was in the front row of his thing, he's like, Brian, do you have any cash? I looked at him like he's crazy. Like, when did I have cash? I also have 3 daughters. If there is cash in my house, they've taken it somewhere. It's a Barbie house somewhere going on. But there was also a time that we even said, I remember feeling like, who would buy a car online? A car is an experience. It's a ton of money. Why would I buy a car online? That just seems ridiculous. Yet there are multiple business and anyone who here has bought a car online. Look at that. Those are the crazy ones around you. We're just letting you all know. So there's a lot of what happens in this space where people are like, the unknown seems scary, and it is scary. The idea of shifting the way that we are actually thinking about digital value is going to be a little bit overwhelming because we've been building digital identities, digital footprints for 10 years in a different format. And so for many of us, when we look at what all of these transformations and these NFTs, we could get a little bit overwhelmed. Now, if you look at that screen there, overwhelmed kind of is what summarizes that screen. So I launched a podcast on November 11th, 2021. Today is day 124, and I've bought an NFT every single day, and that is all 124 of them that I challenged my designer to put it on one slide. Now, you might see on the back of my shirt, these are the NFTs I owned prior to November 11th, 2020. And the beauty of this is that not only did I go all in, and my goal being like, I'm going to immerse myself, but part of the other thing about this was I wanted to understand how I could bring people on this journey of NFTs without having to spend money. There are lots of people that like to make the 1% richer. I'm not one of them. I'm not here to teach 1%ers how to be less, make that gap even more. For me, I wanted to give people an barrier of entry, as well as kind of allowing them to bring on the journey. And so we launched the podcast and this project on November 11th. And our goal is we are holding all 365 NFTs until November 11th, when we'll actually sell them as one collection for people to actually buy. And it was inspired by, which is now known like the second largest NFT sale of all time, a digital artist named Beeple. And I was very lucky. I got to sit down with Beeple and Gary Vaynerchuk on November 6th, and we were talking about this space. And when we were talking about what was going on, Beeple had actually done a digital piece of art online for 5,000 days straight. So I'm complaining about 365. I would never around that guy. And I was asking him, what kept him inspired? And he said it was his creative outlet, and he just kept going. And I was like, well, what was the most expensive one that you had sold prior to this entire collection? And he said $400. For those that don't know the story, he took that 5,000, turned it into Mosaic, and it sold for $69.8 million. Commitment, consistency, creativity, and the creator taking back the power. Now, this can also be a little bit overwhelming, and you're like, Brian, it still feels like people are buying expensive JPEGs. Take a look at this screenshot up here. This was tweeted out by one iSocialFans, which is me. In May of 2021, I jumped on Clubhouse. Well, that's not true. I was always on Clubhouse, for anyone that knows that. And I was on this social audio app, and I've never been more confused by a bunch of kids bragging about their $400 monkey photos. So much so that I took a screenshot and I tweeted out, look at these idiots. See where this is going. I'm a futurist. I'm not perfection, right? Let's be very true. And I tweeted that out, like, look at these idiots with these bored monkeys, because I didn't even think of it as bored apes. You believe that they're bragging about spending this money on a JPEG. That was May of last year, not too long ago. So for those that are questioning, like, hey, I'm confused, this seems really odd, I was there and I was there recently. But what unlocked for me, and what we kind of heard on stage earlier and we've heard all through the day here, was this idea of digital ownership. The idea that we can switch the narrative, because we've heard for the longest time that if you're using a platform or a social network for free, you're paying with your data. And every time I heard that, I'm like, I kind of don't mind. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like if I'm scrolling Facebook and like Amazon reminds me that I forgot to check out my shoes, I'm like, thank you. Thank you, cross data sharing. Like, I need to go back over there and get my shoes. Like, I've never complained about that kind of data sharing. But the idea of like, hey, I'm paying with my data and I'm getting access to a social network is really old school thinking, as if we never had control of our data in the first place. So I'm going to walk you through this little journey that I went through May, but it kind of started out for me on this like non-fungible what? I mean, the word alone sound funky. I was like, fungible. Like, I mean, I really thought it had something to do with mushrooms. Like, and I'm like dead serious too. I was so confused on where this was going. But the idea of something that was, limited edition or exclusive made a lot of sense to me. I grew up in a house, I'm the oldest of 3 boys, born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I collected baseball cards, football cards, Wheaties boxes. Anybody collect Wheaties boxes? Yeah, oh, we got a couple. I like you guys. Here, look at here. I'm gonna hook you up. There you go. There you go. So I collected Wheaties boxes, and the beauty of some of these Wheaties boxes is that there was like 200. I have a Cal Ripken Jr. one. There was only 200 made that was missing his jersey number on his actual jersey. My family owns 6 of those 200. Well, hold on, we own 5. My dad let me have one originally, and I put it in the basement of my townhouse after I got married, and it flooded one winter, and Wheaties boxes don't do good in water, so we have 5, and there's really only 199 in existence. But that idea of limited edition, collectors, exclusivity, value based on like this piece of cardboard that had a piece of gum stuck to it. If you're Gen Z, you can Google like gum on cardboard cards. I know that's not what we have today. The idea of collectibles made sense, but the idea for me that really kind of took this to another level was the idea of value that is transferable online. And the idea that not only is it transferable, but it embraces probably one of my favorite aspects of digital, and that is transparency. And I've been preaching transparency. We actually went back and found, I have a slide in 2013 that I talked about the way that we will truly be great marketers is that we embrace transparency earlier than our customers are asking us for it. And for all of you that didn't listen to me, like they're asking for it now, they're actually demanding it, right? Because we don't trust people because you've been around for 65 years. We don't trust you because you tell us to trust you. That trust is a long-term game, and transparency does not guarantee trust. What transparency does is it gives people a window in to determine if you are trustworthy. And transparency in this new Web3 world means that every action that we take in the blockchain, on the digital, if I send you an NFT or someone sends me one back, every one of them are logged on the blockchain and the transaction history is transparent for all of us to see. So all of a sudden it gives us a window into a world that I never really understood. Because when I first started hearing about crypto, and I give a shout out to Joel Comm, who will be on stage tomorrow, Joel and I sat down at a panel. We were actually talking about it, and Bree was at this panel that we were at, and we were in Wichita on a panel on blockchain. And I remember him talking about crypto and how it should go all in, and I probably should have listened to him. You guys can do that tomorrow. And I was like, I'm not a financial guy. I'm like, that's not econ. I took 4 years of econ at Radford University, and I didn't pass any of those 4 101 versions of that class. I was a hockey player. I was in a fraternity. It was a whole other world. But so for me, that idea of like the currency financial side really was kind of a little bit, overwhelming for me. But when I started to understand that transparency of digital sharing combined with smart contracts that allowed us to automate things in a digital world with a layer of security and authenticity, I was excited. But for you, you're like, wait a second, is that buzzword bingo? Right? Like there's a lot of buzzwords there. What is beautiful about this space is that, my background, I worked 9 years in cybersecurity for the Department of Defense. So I got a beautiful, amazing job. I got to travel 54 countries, 3 trips to Iraq, 2 to Afghanistan, supporting our military. Any military family members, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you're doing. And I will tell you, I kind of left cybersecurity for a whole bunch of different reasons, but part of it was the idea that a lot of security happens and still happens to this day for security's sake. And what I mean by that is when you figure out that maybe your password got hacked because password 1234 is not a good password, you now make a 30-character password more complex than you could have ever memorized in your life, and you put it on a sticky note next to your computer, and then you do an Instagram story like this with your computer behind you. Because we believe the 30-character password was more secure than password 1234, which it never really was, because when we think about this whole idea of security, a lot of it is about risk versus reward and mitigating risks and single points of failure and a lot of this jargon that we kind of talked about. But what is beautiful about this new Web3 world powered by the blockchain, which the blockchain will end up being like, cell phone towers. We won't care about the blockchain. We just want it to work, right? No one cares where your cell phone tower is. I just need cell phone service. But what the blockchain enables is it adds a layer of authenticity to what we are creating or what is being created for us that is immutable, that cannot be changed. It cannot be edited. It is inked on the blockchain with a timestamp, where it started, and if it's ever moved or edited or attempted to be edited, all of that is logged transparently for any of us to see. Now that can be a little bit scary because I like to say, those that suck offline usually suck online. But then there was like catfishing and we kind of filters and a lot of well, transparency really makes that apparent, right? And we've really shifted this little narrative. But for us as marketers, what does this all mean? And I will tell you, a lot of the conversation around NFTs comes back to creator empowerment. And, one of my favorite soapboxes, we're going to be able to remove the starving from the starving artists. Because for the first time in history, if a digital artist sells their painting or their digital art online, it's actually be able to be logged in the blockchain, and built into that contract says every single time that is sold, 10% will go automatically to the wallet of that artist. We all know how many artists have sold paintings and art at a art show that was $50, $100, that was later worth $1 million, that the artist not only didn't even know where it went, but did not get paid for their amazing creativity that they were a part of. In this digital world, thanks to transparency, we're adding a layer of not only being able to add that kind of automation where you are able to get that 10% no matter what. Now we're also adding a layer of how do we prove and really add an element of, where things have gone, like how that all works. And for marketers, this can be a little scary, but that's where I want to tile in here. Because for me as marketers, there's a lot of things that we can kind of jump into for use cases. And I mentioned I've been doing a daily podcast, and the podcast is only 6 days old, but it's almost already one of our most popular listened. I did an episode that was 31 future use cases of NFTs that nobody are talking about. And I started the list back in October, and I just started writing down whenever I thought of things. Like, I believe that all of our days off as employees will be issued as NFTs. Because last time I checked, they're our days off, and we own them, right? And therefore, if we as employees own those days off, we should be able to do with them as we so choose. But there was an element of like, how do we track that? How do we manage that? How do we know who's sending what to what? Well, that all done for us on the blockchain. So the idea you want to gift a coworker the days off that you have, the idea that you want to sell the days off because you want to work is all logged on the blockchain. No employee has to track it. There's no log. I don't need to get approval because they're mine. And so we're shifting a lot of these use cases. One of them happens to be things like early access or tracking relationships. I know my good friend Jessica Phillips gave an amazing presentation yesterday on relationship marketing and the idea that we all believe in word of mouth marketing, right? We all believe that, let's face it, as much as we love to market and sell, it's our customers that ultimately do most of the work for us, right? They talk about our products and services and empower that through that word of mouth conversation. And the beauty of this is that we can start to reward, track, and empower, but not do so from a marketer's perspective, but do so from a stance, I'm going to provide you so much value, you're going to want to give me that data. Because one of the things that shifts in this whole conversation is that I mentioned before, if we've always been using a service for free and we're paying with our data, there's real no easy way for us to take back that, if we all of a sudden all stopped using Instagram, Instagram wouldn't have valuable, but good luck trying to get a collective group, especially in this country, to do anything. We can't even get like 48% of people to do anything. I live in DC, trust me, that's very true. But the idea that we can start to actually empower, and instead of saying, I'm giving someone something for what I get in return, it's like, I want access to your data and I'm willing to pay you for it because you own it. The idea that we will actually be able to have control of a lot of the things that up until today we never even realized were things that we wanted. I'll give a great example for marketers. If you wanted to know right now, when did you start on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter? What was your start date? Your individual start date. To find that, where do you go to find your information, your data? To LinkedIn platform and to Zuckerberg world, right? It's on their platform. So as we think of this, what is the shift is that is stuff that we will own in our individual wallet. And I'll explain a wallet in a minute. But the idea that we now get to control this data, or we now have the idea that the data is ours, now we get to start to deciding how we use it, where it's used, where it shows up. And so this starts to change that power from marketers and creators and consumers. And there's some use cases that I just love to tap into. And, loyalty programs is one that I know Joe mentioned earlier as well. That the idea, I'm diamond on Delta. Of course, I have 76 countries I've traveled to. I did a lot of traveling for a long time. I still do. For me, being diamond on Delta is beautiful because I'm not going anywhere. I'm loyal to loyal to my soil as far as Delta goes. But there are lots of things that, when I lived in Arizona for 9 years, that I built up loyalty programs. I was the mayor of Dunkin' Donuts. Anyone else? I know. You're like, that doesn't surprise me. Also, Tropical Smoothie was there in the same area, Foursquare. But the beauty of this is now the things that we're rewarded or the things that we get in contest are actually ours. We've all done that, right? You sign up for software and you win a second year of the software for free. And at the end of the year, you're like, I'm changing my business model. I'm doing something different. And you're like, well, I guess I'm not going to use that year that I won for free. Well, if that was issued to you as an NFT, you could decide to sell that or to gift that to someone else because you won it. And now all of a sudden we take back a lot of that control, and a lot of that control can come in different formats. And I will tell you, man, my graphic designer is good. Man, it's the first time I've been able to show off his work on stages. So those are kind of emulate the shoes that I'm wearing right now. And so these are no bull. They're a amazing shoe. I own a ridiculous amount of pairs on them, and I am not in CrossFit. I know you're not surprised. CrossFit, not my thing. I don't run for any choice reasons or fun. But for me, I love no bull shoes. And I've actually was one of the very first people that ever had bought them. I remember they had two different, only one kind, two different colors. But as someone that's been buying that shoe for the last, I think, 7 years, they've grown as a brand massively, and they've kind of taken over a lot of these big markets. But for me, as a consumer, I've had not only no say, but no kind of loyalty. Yes, I get a coupon every once in a while. But what is beautiful about this space is, imagine if we were able to actually issue NFTs with every shoe purchase that I made. And with that NFT, it unlocked in January of each year a website that allowed each person with each NFT to get one vote on what colors are going to come out for the upcoming year. All of a sudden, as a customer, I have power. I have a customer, I have say. And I know there's a lot of customers that just say, just let me know that you're listening to me, right? We don't even need you to reply on Twitter or social media. Just like my post. Let me know that the feedback I'm giving, the things I'm giving as a customer are there. Well, if I've owned 9 pairs of these shoes, I would get 9 votes to help them get pink because I'm a girl dad and that's my favorite color. And they finally just released that out. I ordered them. They're not here yet. But for me, the idea of shifting the narrative, and funny enough, I was walking through the mall with my daughters, take my middle daughter bowling for her birthday, and we walked by a sign, and the sign said, "New models of this shoe coming soon." And I, of course, froze, and my daughters are like, "Dad, you gotta be kidding me. You don't need more crazy colored shoes." My oldest is 12. A month ago, she told me to drop her off a little faster in front of middle school. A week later, it was the side. She's like, "You just pull on the side of the middle school." Yeah, I didn't see that coming as fast as it came. But the beauty was we were walking through the mall, and I took a picture of these shoes and the sign, because I was like, I want that. Now, funny enough, I was thinking about it. I was like, it kind of goes where, anyone that saves something online, you're reading something, you're like, I'm going to save this to read later. Does anyone know where that folder goes? I've never even found that folder. I've saved things every day. And that's probably where that photo is going to go of my shoes in front of the storefront. But imagine if there was a QR code there that when I scanned it, they were actually able and said, "Do you want to purchase this shoe before it comes out? I will issue an NFT that when you walk into the store, we will have it ready for you." That can all happen in a matter of seconds with no human interaction. And all of a sudden, we're able to manage supply chain. We're able to start to manage and empower our employees, our customers in new ways. Now, a lot of this has to do with the fact that we are now in control of our data, and we're moving to what we're calling this decentralized shift. Now, I will tell you, decentralized sounds great until we realize what really decentralized means. And just to put it in summary, we hated when Target got hacked and all of our credit cards were hacked, right? We heard that story and we're like, how dare they? And they spend $500 million a year on cybersecurity and they couldn't protect our credit cards. Now we're like, give it to us. Let us control it. Because that $500 million that you spent, we are smarter about our data. We don't click terms and services without reading them. We don't click email links that say like $5 million if you click this link. So in a weird world, we've moving this idea of decentralization sounds great, but we have this like hybrid place that we are going to get. And one of them is the idea that we are going to own things in our wallet. Now, I'm sorry to pick on Gen Z, but as a millennial, I got picked on by, well, no, Gen X, we forgot about you. So baby boomers, you picked on us millennials. I have to pick on the Gen. So Gen X, you can Google what that thing is on the end in the pink. It's a phone. It had a rotary dial. We had to wait till it went back around. Lots of things going on there. But what this wallet represents and what it will represent for us as marketers, it will be more valuable for us to be able to put an NFT in someone's wallet than it will be if we got their phone number, their email address, and their most recent credit card. Because the beauty of this wallet address, it is much like a public address that anyone can see, but we can airdrop things in there and say, if you've bought 9 pairs of no bull shoes, I'm going to airdrop something into your wallet that will allow you to go into any store and buy any shoe you want for 50% off. Now not only do we have access, but now we're able to give the power to that employee. And the beauty of that is when we do things like that with the NFT, it's not just about giving them that power. We can now decide what we want to do with it. I bought 9 pairs of no bull shoes. Maybe I don't need a 10th, probably, but maybe. Slightly sneakerhead. But I can actually gift that to someone else to use that actual gift, right? The idea that we own the things that we are actually getting with brands. And so as marketers, we can start to build real valuable relationships by ultimately giving and kind of connecting. And we can even say, I'm going to give you an NFT if you're willing to give me access into your wallet on your buying patterns for the last month. We'll be able to enable the data that we actually own and how we want to share it. And it will no longer be just a shift. And the beauty of this is it comes down to this idea of like, what does brand currency mean? And how do we even think about the idea of, give and take? And we've heard things about social currency, right? Like you keep giving, and you're building up that social currency so that you can kind of make an ask, like anyone that's tried to get on any podcast. I just recommend doing that, right? Like amplify the podcast, talk about the podcast, tell them why they're great. And then when you ask to be a guest on that podcast, there's a higher likelihood of you actually getting a yes. Sending me an email asking to be on my podcast, FOMO fans, because you love it and I do a great job interviewing, and it's a solo podcast, is a problem. Right, marketers? But brand currency is a beautiful shift. And I know, the social token creator coin idea is a really interesting one. And for me, it was actually 368 days ago that I launched my own coin. It's the ADHD coin. I know we have some ADHD coin holders in here. Oh, look at that. Thank you. So we have now 1,400 holders of our ADHD coin. And I was diagnosed at 31, 9 years with ADHD. The beauty of this coin is it's not an ADHD coin per se, it's more of a superpowered coin. And if you're someone that believes in having superpowers, and we all have our own superpowers, that's really what we're trying to empower and connect in our community. And ADHD just happens to be my superpower. And what is beautiful about this idea of this brand currency for me was that I've been building content and brand. I mean, I've spoken here every year, but the first year I was attendee on year 1 of Social Media Marketing World. And every year since I've been able to, be on stage. And for me, I built a lot of communities, a lot of content. But the struggle for me was always, I just didn't like selling those that were in my community. So much so that I built my entire agency model that was B2B. I would say Dell, IBM, Samsung, sponsor my podcast so I can give it free to my audience. Because for me, that was my own strategy and attempt. But what was beautiful about this whole idea of brand currency and what happened for me with Creator Coin social tokens is that it's no longer about transactional relationships. Those that if you notice, I didn't say who paid me an ADHD coin. I said, who are our ADHD holders? By simply holding that coin, you get rewards, you get benefits, you get additional access. And the beauty of it is you still own it. And a lot of this conversation does come down to digital ownership and how we shift those interactions. Now, one of them happens to be the proof of brand interactions. The idea that we can start to actually document interactions that we as a brand have with our audience. I mean, I know for those that are sponsoring, I have some good friends that are sponsors here of this event. You know, we want to scan badges just because we want to give out swag so we can get their QR code scanned so that we can tell our boss that we have all of these potential customers, yet everyone's going to unsubscribe when they get home to the 45 emails that we get. I'm just telling the truth, sorry. But the problem with that is it's very transactional, right? You get this squishy ball and I scan your badge to prove my boss that you are who you say you are. But imagine if those brand interactions now came with something that I allowed you to own. I allowed you to say, hey, if you are here in social media marketing world, here's an NFT in your wallet that is going to unlock certain things. Now, I mentioned earlier, we're gonna give you the QR code for you guys to scan here in a minute to be able to give you something. And one of them happens to be, I want to be able to celebrate those that are here this year supporting this talk next year as you come back to social media marketing world. It plays twofold, right? It plays that I get to know those that are returning, those that are coming along with me on the journey. I also get to be a little bit of a, lead generation for Mr. Michael Stelzner in the sense that I'm giving you another reason to attend. And the beauty of it is that everyone in this room that has one of these NFTs that you'll get at the end of this presentation, you're going to get access to a pre-party event that will be only attended by those that have this NFT. Now, the beauty of it is you're like, well, what if I can't come next year? Or my boss isn't going to be able to send me? Well, previously, pre-NFT world, you were kind of SOL. Today, we can say you can put that on the marketplace and you can put those tickets up for sale. And people leading up to next year's event that want to attend that private party that we're not here are going to be able to buy your pass that you got here in this room. Now, along the way, we're also going to add some perks and benefits. But the beauty of this is that I'm able to not only provide value, but really create this idea of a creator economy. Now, I will tell you, I saved that word to later on in the presentation because I'm kind of was like a creator hater person. I cannot sing. I cannot dance. I can't paint. My daughters make that clear every time. I've always said I am artistically and creative challenged. Like that is like me. And I remember being first labeled as a creator. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I got blessed. My mom said I came out of the womb talking and I just now get paid for it. Like literally that's what I get paid for. I'm a podcaster and I'm a full-time speaker. But for me, when I started to dive into what this creator economy means and what the true essence of a creator is, it's those that are truly creating anything from an experience to an opportunity to education to even creating connections. And so when we think about the creator economy, part of me was like, well, so now I have funny money, right? Like now I have Monopoly money for me to play around with to give people. And I think the thing that really kind of struck me with this creator economy is that there is a difference between creator coins and NFTs and cryptocurrency. Now, cryptocurrency to me is still one of those things that was a little bit like, okay, I can play there, but I wasn't great. Like the stock market never really interest me. Like, okay, I got to bet on a bunch of rich companies that I'm not connected with that, I hope they do what they say they're going to do. And there's going to be a quarterly call that, is a bunch of really rich people telling me either they did great or they didn't do great. Like a lot of that wasn't my world. But what's beautiful about these coins and about this community is that we can add this term utility to things that we are creating. So for me, the two words that I think of now with NFTs and creator coins are utility and access. Utility and access. We can now give people access to who we are. We can give people access to where we are, to what we're doing. And then we can also add utility. And what utility ultimately means is the idea that if you do this, we are going to give you this. Now, some of it can be put into the contract of an NFT. Other things can be added on to those experiences. So I just mentioned one of the things we'll do here for the NFT that we drop is that you'll get access to this VIP party next year before the event. But along the way, maybe we have some free webinars that only those that have the NFT can come to. Maybe we'll do some free giveaways, like some swag that we just have, that we just kind of launched on our merch side. Maybe we'll allow things to be, those experiences. And the beauty of that is I can keep on adding value and increasing that utility for all of those that are holding the NFT. And it also adds to the reason and value of you selling that NFT and that thing that you digitally own. And so the beauty for me, and when we take a step back, this is all about Web3. We are shifting to digital ownership. And there's really 4 access points right now at this moment into Web3, in my opinion. We have NFTs, we have creator coins or social tokens. I know Joe calls them social tokens. I call them creator coins. I think we got to talk that out, figure out why. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. And then we have the metaverse, which you're going to hear my really good friend, Kathy Hackle tomorrow, who is a genius in this space and just a beautiful human who's going to do amazing talk on that. And then we have cryptocurrency. So these are kind of like those 4 entry points into this world. And I will tell you, it can be scary. It can be overwhelming. Remember, I talked a little bit about that earlier on this idea of a lot of it sounds unknown. And I mean, May of last year, I was mocking those guys that had those apes, remember? And I don't know if you know, but the cheapest ape that I was mocking that they bought $400 pictures of is $330,000. Those guys I called idiots. Yeah, that's a shift in that value. And so part of that attention, part of this comes down to what I look at it and saying, we have to think now of our customers as our co-owners. One of the best examples I can share is a gym membership. A gym is only as great as those that attend the gym, right? And we all know, we all sign up about December for that New Year's resolution. And about January, we're questioning it. February, we stop posting about it on Instagram. March, we're like, why did we sign up for a year? And that's just the way that we've kind of been built. But imagine if, rather than these being issued as a membership that includes like a cancellation fee, a no-show fee, I mean, there's like pages of things. Imagine if they were issued as NFTs, where the actual gym could then say, these are the total amount of members that have access to our actual gym. Well, now as owners of that NFT, when we decide we no longer want to go to the gym around March, we could actually then post it on their marketplace for sale. Now, that might sound like, okay, how does that help us as marketers or those gym owners? Well, it helps those that are delivering on what they're promising and providing great services and great experiences. This is a massive experience play because if your gym, who has a finite number of memberships, only has a couple hundred for sale because everyone either doesn't realize they could sell it, it's true, or they believe it's such a great gym they don't want to give it up, all of a sudden when someone's comparing the gyms they want to go to, are you going to go to the one that 5,000 people of the 8,000 total members are trying to get out of their contract? Or the one that has 200 people that are willing to sell their marketplace? The idea that we as customers now are co-owners in these experiences. And this can go as far as even offering opportunities to get a percentage off of what their revenue is or what their benefits are as the gym. So not only am I going to be proud gym membership holder, but I'm going to talk about it with all my friends because now my word of mouth marketing is traceable and rewarding. So we are shifting that power into this idea of co-ownership and co-creation. I will say the beauty for me is that for the first time in the digital world, the reason that I went all in, the reason I feel like this was kind of my calling and the things that I've been doing is that I've always wanted to be able to figure out how do we digitally build a community that together we grow, together we thrive as customers, together we are building something. And I believe for the first time, NFTs unlock the rising tide lifts all boats. We've all heard that before. Because the beauty of this is if you get in early like those Bored Apes did, or you get in early with your gym membership or your favorite band, and as that band's value grows, the value of your NFT, the value of your coins grow with it. I've been a Dave Matthews Band warehouse member since 2005. Dave Matthews Band was a little smaller then. He's got a little bit bigger. He's made hundreds of millions of dollars. I get 20% off to buy his full price tickets, the same I did in 2005. The reason most of us are bitter when a band makes it is not because we didn't want a band to make it, but rather we want to grow with them. We were there when you were selling CDs out the back of your car. Well, if I was able to issue an NFT to every person that was buying a CD at the back of my car, and all of a sudden I started to make it, and I was now able to only unlock the VIP section for those that were buying the CDs under my car. How do those true fans now feel when that band starts to make it? It's that feeling of togetherness. It's that feeling that we are greater than me. And that to me is the essence of all we're doing here. So as many of you I see, this is the QR code. What you're going to do is you're going to scan this QR code with your phone. You can just hold up your camera, press on that. It's going to unlock a web page landing page. And the goal of this originally was we were going to be able to airdrop with the Wi-Fi here, but there's some Wi-Fi security things that didn't really allow us to test that out yesterday. So what we're going to, that's not good. Okay, yeah, screenshot that. I'll update that exact QR code. So take a picture of it then. See? There's only one promise with things you do live. Something will go wrong. But the beauty of this, and what we're going to do is you're going to be able to sign up for it, and you don't actually need a physical wallet on the public mainnet. We're using a tool called Rally, and what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to create your account. It's free. It's a little, it doesn't take very long to create a little account. And what you'll do is you're going to get airdropped that NFT. It'll come in an email. It'll say congratulations that you have the NFT for this solution, and you'll have a Rally username. And the beauty of this is that it'll be something that'll be stored and associated with your account. You do own it. Now, over time, what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to give you additional access. We'll be able to send you that same kind of additional NFT and saying, now you get access to a limited edition event. Or we could co-collaborate with another creator here. Or even when Social Media Examiner does their program in the fall, we could co-create there and give you access to one of those things. For me, we're in a beautiful kind of intersection. I'll leave you with this. As marketers, we have a lot going on. There are a lot of shiny objects. There's a lot of people telling us a lot of different directions, including 23 minutes before this presentation, Zuckerberg telling us that Instagram's going all in with NFTs. But I think it's important for us to take just level set and remember, right now we have to focus on marketing where our customers are today, but it's also important for us to listen to where they're going to be tomorrow. Web3 is coming if you like it or not. Our ability to take back ownership and shift the power dynamic with digital identity and digital value is coming. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take change. This is no guarantee. And I will just leave you with this. That sticker was there for a reason, remember? We still have to do our own damn research. We have to figure out where this fits into our ecosystem, our risk versus reward. What is the education that we are kind of putting out there? I'm very blessed. We are going to do 365 episodes of this podcast. Episode 124 came out today. We are 124 days in. For me, the beauty is these are all educational episodes. They're not trends and news. You can go back and listen to episode 3, and I can promise you it's going to be valuable from an education perspective. Because I think we also have to recognize together we have to educate our own customers. Because if we each help each other by educating, by hopefully inspiring them to understand this new shift, we can all take care of each other as well. My name is Brian Fanzo. Thank you guys very much.